Today, we're talking about mobile marketing, anything we experience via our cell phones, so apps, mobile websites. Moms are always moving around from one thing to the next, so the mobile experience is really, really important for them. So, I invited a mobile marketing expert, Jennie Lewis, on today to help you think about how to improve your brand's existing app, or maybe when to think about building a brand new app if you don't have one, and ways to make a better integrated data experience that improves your customers' experience and gives you more insights into your customers. Jennie Lewis leads the customer insights function at Airship, helping brands measure the economic impact of their mobile app strategies. Her work encompasses B2B2C research, influencing the brands she works with, their customers, and her own organization's go-to-market strategies. Jennie's focus is on the data back-end strategies that help businesses grow. She created the industry-leading mobile lifecycle measurement framework that gives brands the ability to measure impact of customer engagement on their business that's currently available to all Airship customers. And she recently released a study on the 7 building blocks of mobile experience personalization, a guide for brands who want to create personalized customer experiences within the reality of a marketing operations team workload. And outside of work, she's a mom, plus a fur mom of 3. Welcome to Marketing with Empathy, the podcast for brands that want to target and engage moms. Moms influence or control 85% of all household purchases, making them a lucrative market to figure out. But many brands struggle to connect with moms through their content. Even if moms aren't your only audience, they're a critical one to figure out for so many brands. And if that's you, you're in the right place. I'm your host, Sarah Panus, and I have more than 20 years of experience working with big brands to small brands, including Sleep Number, SheFit, American Express, Starbucks, LegalZoom, and more. So tune in here for ideas that'll get your products and services into the hands of more moms who need them, so your brand can effectively reach more moms and drive sales. Thanks to your support, this podcast is in the top 5% of all podcasts and a proud member of the Marketing Podcast Network. So let's hear from today's sponsors and then jump right into my mobile marketing discussion with Jennie Lewis of Airship. Okay, Jennie, as marketers, why is mobile marketing really great at reaching moms? And how does your work at Airship help us better connect those dots and make mobile marketing easier?
The first thing is that the mobile device is in our hands. It's with us all the time. It's not like when we used to be tied to a desktop to get our email. We're in motion all the time, just as a society. And I think moms especially are always in motion. The other thing that's super important is that having solutions that are as easy to access, that helps moms be on the move. Moms in general are going from place to place. A lot of moms work outside of the home, and being able to follow those along are super important.
And then what do you do at Airship? Tell us a little bit about that in terms of how that connects into mobile.
Yeah, so I lead our research for customer insights, which is really, if you think of it, it's B2B2C. So I look at aggregate data of all of our customers. What are they doing and what's working and not working? We benchmark all of that to help brands that are doing mobile understand, are they performing well or not? So that could be anything from how are people engaging with an app for the first 30 days, or how are people returning to the app post that 30 days? Are people coming back? Even things from a strategic perspective, if you make a change in a strategic tactic, is that positively impacting conversion?
And today we're going to talk about the mobile marketing experience as a whole, which includes apps, as you mentioned, and the mobile web. So I think of it basically, guys, it's like anything that you look at on your cell phone. It's like that mobile marketing experience. And so that's what Jennie's going to be talking us through. So let's dig into apps first. And Jennie, help us get our creative juices flowing. Can you give us just quick examples of different brands that reach moms and have apps?
Totally. So I think there's a couple different categories here. One are things that are designed for moms. There are a lot of really fun brands like Peanut, which is it's almost like a meetup app for moms. Like imagine Match.com, but for mom friends. So that one it's a brand that's completely designed to help moms in a space that's, frankly, it's a little awkward, right? You're trying to make new friends, and
Yeah.
you want to find maybe kids with the same age or kids with the same play style, but you want to find somebody that vibes right, where the kids play well together and you can hang out with a mom, right? So
Mm-hmm.
it's meant to kind of bridge that disconnect that is a real problem that exists when you're a new mom. There are also things that are really more tactically focused for moms. Huckleberry is a great brand that's on mobile. They have a solution that is for feeding tracking. And I remember when my kiddo was an infant, we were using this religiously, because if you're not sleeping, feeds are going all hours. You have to feed every 2 hours. It's meant to help you kind of keep track of that.
Mm-hmm.
And instead of having to write it down on a paper and then somebody loses the paper, you have it all in one place and anyone can step in. It's a pretty cool solution. On the flip side, I see a lot of brands doing things that are meant to help moms out and help families. So Asda is a grocery chain in the UK, and they recently came out and said, if you use our app, we're going to donate to a school fund that's required for folks who are in the UK. They have to contribute a little bit to their public schools. And so Asda are offsetting that with shopping at the store. So I think there's other really cool solutions like that brands are doing.
And what was that grocery store you said? Asda?
Asda. Yeah.
Asda.
ASDA.
When we were talking before, even Philips Sonic Care, there's apps like to help
Yes.
kids make sure they're brushing all of their teeth.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of brands, like I talk about this on the show. There's the obvious examples, and then there's the ones that are parallel examples that maybe they're not always a mom brand, but they're helping moms in some way, whether the mom herself or her family, like you just mentioned with those examples. So how does a company know it's the right time to make a brand created app versus relying maybe on like the company's existing website or other digital channels? Like, when is it right timing to actually make an app?
Yeah, I think that if you have a user base that's really coming to you and they're primarily mobile, most likely an app is going to help you out. There are things from a user experience perspective, offline content, being able to save stuff and maintain logins that are really just much easier on an app. You also are able then to open up more messaging opportunities. Now, on mobile web, you can do pop-up modals, you can do embedded content where it's inside of the page. Websites also have web push. So it's like a push notification. But with an app, it tends to really be the more loyal users to a brand. So they're spending more, they're visiting more, they're really the higher frequency engagers with a brand compared to the mobile web. If you have a loyalty program, it's a similar sort of concept where the people who are on the app are actually a bit more engaged than folks who are not. Definitely don't get rid of mobile web, right? I think that the best solutions that I see are actually all of it are working in concert.
And that's actually interesting when you said the loyalty perspective. That could even be a place to start, right? Like if you're thinking about an app experience for your existing customers, or if you're thinking about, obviously, I use a lot of different apps from different brands. A lot of it is very transactional. So if it's an easier way, like Walmart, Target, like the shopping apps of you can just put your order in, go pick it up, save some time. And even my haircut appointment has moved over to an app where I book for my kids as well as for myself. All of those appointments are done just via an app now where I book those appointments. So I never have to hop on a call with anyone unless I have a question. I can't find an appointment. But there's just such a variety of things now for an app experience and how you can make that really quick and easy for people. So if a brand has an app and a new customer comes in, what should the brand do to keep people using the app when they're brand new to it?
Absolutely. The first 30 days after somebody downloads an app is really the critical time period to start building habits within their behavior. There are a couple of things that I always suggest focus on. First off is getting the person to identify themselves. We want to convert them from anonymous to known. And that could either be through, we talked about loyalty programs. So maybe they sign in or sign up for the loyalty program. It may just be signing into the account. And typically there's some way for the user to identify themselves and say, here's who I am. The reason that's important is that you're able to then tie the individual across all the channels and start to build a profile. So instead of just thinking about them as a single person on a single mobile device in an app, you're able to say, okay, is Sarah signed up for email? Does Sarah get SMS? Do we see her shopping on the mobile website? Or do we see her consuming content on the mobile website? And you're able to start to link that experience together across all the different channels. A lot of the work that we do at Airship is about that orchestration and the linkage. What happens is when you're looking at the individual, they purchase more frequently, they have higher cart values from a media and entertainment perspective, and they come back more frequently. Because if you're talking to somebody as an individual, they're more likely to engage. It's a relevancy of the content. Second is really getting that push opt-in. You want to ask early, typically not in the first session. I have some research coming out on that soon that I'll be able to share with you, but really want to get that push opt-in because, again, people who are opted into push, the conversion is higher.
What does that mean for someone who doesn't understand? What is that opt-in to push?
Opt-in to push. So that is inside of the app, opting into the push notifications from the app. Yeah. Do you want to get notifications? And there's a few different ways to do it. Definitely want to recommend that folks use what we call a soft prompt, which is basically a pretty way to ask. You're giving something branded, you're explaining to the customer why they should opt in, what's in it for me. You want to give them information about that value and give them the option to say either maybe later or yes. That is definitely something that you want to get because then you're able to continue communicating with that person.
Got it.
And then third is starting to gather preferences. And that's something that is a continuous process. I really believe in progressive profiling, but we want in the first 30 days to really start gathering those preferences and making sure that we're starting to learn about who the customer is as an individual.
Okay. And so to recap, first 30 days, we want to make sure we get the person to identify themselves, logging in, giving you their identify information, which is probably just email. Is that usually the most common?
It could be, yeah, exactly. It could be, typically it's like a sign in to an account, either sign into an existing account or to creating a new account if they're a brand new customer.
Okay. And then we want them to opt into those push notifications, asking it in a nice value way. So it's just why they would want to get notifications from you. And of course they want to say yes, or maybe later. I like that instead of just saying, but you have to have no though too, probably legally. But I like the maybe later because then it gives you permission to follow up later with somebody,
exactly.
Right? So I like that language. And then gathering preferences, which will help you be able to understand more about them so you can better serve them by giving them the things that they're interested in, which is brilliant from a content strategy perspective. We love data and information to help us be able to better reach and serve our customers so that they're going to want to keep coming back to use the app. Okay. So that's the first 30 days. What if a brand is like, crap, we have an app, but we haven't done all of those things and it's been a while? Is it okay? At any point, really better late than never. You want to be able to get this information when you can, right?
No, 100%. It is not too late. What I always say to brands, because that question comes up a lot, right? Maybe you have something and it's not that great, or you've done part of it, but not all of it. It's never too late to start. First thing to do though is plug the hole because you're going to have new folks coming in every single day. And you want to handle everybody new that's coming in. So fix that brand new experience first. And then we go back and start to look at who else is in there and do a little bit of analysis on those segments. What I see brands do really often that is super successful is retargeting people who are opted out of push. So they look at people who've either just said no in the beginning, or maybe they got pushed for a little while and then opted out because they didn't feel like it was relevant. You can actually retarget those folks and say, hey, would you like to opt back in? The conversion on that is typically pretty high. So you're going to be able to go get back in and get some of those folks opted in and be able to communicate with them more. The next thing is you can basically always ask for preference data. And that could be something simple as little screens about, do you like this? Yes or no. I don't know if you've ever done like a Stitch Fix type brand where it shows you a picture of a product and so, like this or don't like this. And it starts to gather that information about you. So simple things like that to start to gather the zero party data and the preference information are huge, because then you can use all of that to drive your segmentation.
Because the hardest piece with all of that information usually for a brand is connecting it all together. So that's what you said at Airship, you guys help do that. Are you helping do it through your actual platform, or are you helping do it through your insights and research and coming in and looking at all the different places where this lives?
So both. The research, I'm taking a look at how folks are from a customer behavior perspective. How are they behaving? And then how do we replicate that? And then from the platform perspective, we actually have the ability to orchestrate across all the channels. So if you have the recognition of that individual, that identified user, then you can orchestrate, well, do we want to send Lucy an email or do we want to send her a push notification? And then depending on what the message is and the timing, you can tie that all together.
Ooh. In my career, I've worked for a lot of really big brands, and that was always a struggle of trying to bring everything together, because there's multiple teams, multiple groups working across multiple things with the customer. And so getting that cohesive look at them is so important and will help us better sell to them, ultimately, better help them.
100%.
And you drive more sales. Our companies all want to make money. We all want to stay in business, right? And so what if a brand has been like, they have an app, it's been around for a while, but they're seeing their usage is starting to plateau? What should they do to increase engagement?
It comes back to the segmentation and relevancy of content. What are we doing from an audience targeting perspective, and how do we tweak that to make the information more relevant? That is going to be looking at what information do you have on the customers, both from preference and really on mobile. We use a lot of behavioral data. What are they looking at? How are they engaging? What times and days might be better? Also, location is something that's huge for mobile, right? Because we're in motion when we're using the device. So depending on the brand, I'd say tying all those things together and then taking a look at the strategy of what are you sending and what are people engaging with and not engaging with. I work with a lot of sports brands, and an example I think that's super easy for anyone to understand, because most of us watch some sport in our personal lives, is asking what type of sport, what team, what players somebody might be interested in. And what sports brands are doing really well now on mobile is actually coming in and asking that kind of continuously. And the more they ask, the more relevant the content becomes. And then it's almost this pattern of the more somebody gets, the more they engage, because as the content becomes more relevant, it ramps up their interest in coming back. And I think no matter sports, retail, even finance, frankly, like any type of brand can kind of follow that same pattern, because if you're asking and getting the explicit preferences, the data shows that just gets people to come back more because you're able to talk to them in a more personal way.
Got it. And it's not coming back to continue asking the exact same question every single time. It's asking the types of questions in different ways each time, but it's still kind of in that same vein, is what you're saying.
Exactly. So our platform has a cool thing where you can do in-app surveys. And so you can do just little questions, and it doesn't have to be a huge preference center build. I'm talking little preferences, small questions, and all those things start to add up.
Okay. So then Let's talk about mobile web next.
Mhm.
So, what about that mobile web experience? So,
Mhm.
what are key marketing do's and don'ts there that we should be thinking about to help us as brands better connect with mom customers?
First thing is the majority of the messaging that you can do in an app, you can do that same thing on the mobile web. So we can send the modal pop-up messages, we can embed content within the website. And again, all of that can be personalized and orchestrated based on the individual. So if you know who somebody is, if they have an account with you, getting them to sign in on mobile web is just as important as in the app, because then again, we can orchestrate and personalize. All the same things apply there. For the guests or the anonymous users, it's really about starting to convince them that they want to sign in. What's the value? And looking at the timing of that. There was an interesting study that came out a couple of months ago about cart abandonment. And one of the main reasons that people abandon carts is because they are asked to sign in during the middle of the cart checkout process.
Mm.
And it's actually a huge reason. I think it was more than a quarter. I want to say maybe like 26-27% of people were saying, yeah, that's just, don't ask me during checkout about signing in, which I think really it connects to all the research that we have at Airship as well. You want to show them the value of that sign in much earlier. And then from the content perspective, the modals I think are something that are really cool. That's a modal would be like the little like web pop-up thing. So something like an overlay on the screen. And those are really easy to do in web, just, as well as in the app.
So pop-ups and things are fine in the mobile experience, right? Like I know like pop-ups got so annoying on the regular internet because they were so overused. But now I do see them because they're not overused anymore, that when you actually use it for something you do want to draw attention to. I know from web experiencing with content with brands, like lead generators can be fantastic actually to have a pop-up still, or if there's like a coupon or something, like you want to get someone's attention. It's easy to, if they want to force them to have to do it. That's what I find annoying, is if there's like a modal like that would
And
pop up
locks
and you
you
can't get
out.
out of it. You're like, freaking A, I don't want to do this thing. Don't make me do it. I'm not gonna look at your site. Does that happen anymore?
Oh, totally. Yes. And also the
that,
timing
people.
of it. The timing is so important. Don't flash it the second I land on your website, right? I came to your website to do something. Let me start to do that thing before you interrupt immediately with the pop-up. The other thing too is, as you think about the strategy, I'd say there's the pop-up or the modal versus embedded. And by embedded, having like I'm sure you've probably seen some websites have little banners at the top with promotional information, or I saw a great one a couple of weeks ago. Code Epoxy is a brand that they use reclaimed and recycled fabrics to make all of their outdoor gear. And they had done a big sale. And the sale was so huge that they then had shipping delays from all their warehouses. So all of their help pages had banners about, thanks everybody for supporting the sale. We're really excited, but all the shippings are delayed. So they were able to use that kind of an embedded content. And that wasn't a pop-up on the site. It didn't interrupt you going and shopping or doing anything, but it was very clear and easy to see that there was something going on. And I think that depending on the message, depending on what you're trying to say and what action you're trying to get the person to take, you can toggle between those two styles of content.
You mentioned timing in terms of the pop-ups in that example. Do you have insights on how long you should wait before you have a pop-up appear on a site?
So I don't have any hard numbers on it, but what I see as most successful with the brands that we work with is if you delay a bit, because we know that app sessions in themselves, they're on average a minute or two in total. So the amount of time that you have to really get the attention of somebody is super short. That being said, if somebody has come into your app, they've most likely come there to do an action. Either they got a push notification that drove them in, they got an email that drove them into the app, and they got a link directly into the app. If you think about it more from a design thinking, jobs to be done framework, they came to do something. They came to do a job, and you don't want to interfere with that, but you also want to get them the new information. I think it depends on where they land and what action you're assuming they might be taking.
Any other like specific advice you'd
Mhm.
like to share to help us all think about how we get our products and services into the hands of more moms?
I think ease of use is something that is super important. You had mentioned Target earlier, and I love them as an example for ease of use and really helping simplify things. Their app is awesome. I'm a huge fan of it. And there are a couple of things that are really key to me about why it works well and why I think it's so great for moms. And as a mom personally, is something that I use really frequently. The first thing is you get to choose how you get all of the products. So on every single product page, they show you options of, do I want to go pick it up? Do I want to have same day delivery, or do I want to have it shipped? And it shows you the stock availability and location availability of the product. So that's the one thing that I think it gives you that choice on a product by product basis, which is super helpful. The second thing is their aisle numbers, which is basically like a store map inside of the app. So if you're in the store, you have a 2-year-old. So going to Target with a 2-year-old, I'm sure folks are familiar, is not the smoothest process in the world. And if I'm trying to get in and out very quickly, and it's something that I didn't order for pickup, I can actually go into the app and say, all right, what is the aisle number? Where do I need to go? And try to get there super quickly. So Target's doing that. Home Depot actually has complete store maps for every single store is unique, and every single store is mapped within the app.
Wow.
And it is, cool. Yeah, it is really cool.
I know many of the grocery stores now have adopted this model when you're in it. I know locally, I'm in the Midwest, Hy-Vee is really big here, so that within their app experience. I know grocery delivery services like Shipt and places like that, they use it as well for their shoppers to be able to find things. It's really smart to be able to map those things back because it is convenience, ease of use. You're saving somebody time. You're making it easier for them, which is a huge value there of why it would be a great reason why you'd want to have the app versus not have the app.
Exactly. And it can be a shopping experience, but it could also be things like Care Credit recently. They came out with a partnership with Pets Best Insurance. If you are paying at the vet with your Care Credit card, and you have the Pets Best Insurance for partial reimbursement, they've got linkage between the two to cut out steps in the reimbursement process. So you have to get the invoice and make sure the pet's name is there and file a claim and do all that stuff. So the way that they're doing their partnership between the two apps is actually connecting it to reduce steps for families in the reimbursement process.
I love that because I have that issue with my vet. There's this one particular brand of something I give my dog every month, and I get points when I buy like a 6-month supply or whatever, but it's separate. And I have yet to use any of my reward points because I never connect the two, and then they'll expire. And shoot, I just lost out on that discount I could have had at the vet, but I just don't take the time to connect them. So that's really smart. So folks like listening, think about that experience. And if there is anything that could help connect the dots between you and another partner, that's really interesting.
Rocket Money alerts you when you have bills coming up. It looks at your history and alerts you when to, oh, hey, I need to think about doing bill payment this week, right? There's things about that are making life easier. How are we reducing steps for the customer? How are we making it more seamless and really simplifying life?
And who doesn't need your life simplified more than moms?
Seriously.
So much going on. I love reducing those steps for her, simplifying, making it easier. Okay, beautiful. Anything else that I should ask you about that I haven't yet that would be helpful for us to navigate this mobile marketing experience?
Oh my gosh, I think we covered so much. I think that definitely coordinating across channels is something super important. I would love to see more brands starting to think about that from a mobile perspective. Emails linking into the app or linking to nice mobile web experiences. Definitely prioritize, like I said, the first 30 days. That is really the first critical step.
I would just add on to your comment about coordinating across channels. That is such a huge opportunity for growth and making it even better for the customer, but getting more value cross functionally, which means, from my
Mhm.
experience working with big brands, when you do that, you have shared goals across multiple teams and people, you always get more budget. You always
Mhm.
get more budget to invest in the thing because it's not just benefiting one, it's benefiting many different groups and teams. So
Mhm.
selfishly, it's a way to keep improving and getting buy-in from that perspective for growth and enhancements and other things that you want to add. I remember, so I used to run content strategy at Sleep Number for a long time.
Mhm.
And from the mobile perspective, I know they have an app for their smart bed. So their app is
Mhm.
about actually controlling the bed and getting insights. But there's a lot of really rich content then that we fused in from
Mhm.
our blog content and our
The
loyalty
sleep expert.
programs. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's true. And so it was really fun to think about, okay, which of all of our great library of content that we have from like our blog could we import in through
Mhm.
this, and from our loyalty program can we import in through this. And when they connected, I remember the
Mhm.
loyalty program from the app, that was really huge in term it was very successful, so
Mhm.
I would echo like how whenever you can start to
Mhm.
connect those dots cross functionally, even
Yeah.
better, more value you'll see out of the app from a customer's
Mhm.
perspective, because then it's just one less thing to think about. You're right. If you have to log in, you don't have to remember
Mhm.
different logins and different places to go, or it just gives them
Yeah.
more of a reason to want to go into the app too.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
then I love that example because it's an app that's a utility, right? You're using it in essence to control your bed settings. And are we going up or down and hot or cool, right?
Yeah.
There's Sleep Number is incredible for that. You have so many different options.
Yeah.
But it's value add content to actually improve the quality of the sleep, which is something that's a huge part of Sleep Number's brand modality, right? Like they want to give everybody better sleep.
Yep.
At the end of the day, that's one of the primary brand goals.
Mhm.
And by creating the content from the sleep expert and then getting it to the customer, then they're supporting that brand initiative, but it's also giving the customer more value than just like hooking up all the night lights and cameras and everything that are in my shared room here. And a lot of those are very set it and forget it,
Yep.
right? Like you could just set it up and then not really go back. Like what's in it for me to continue to go back to the app for that device?
Yep, exactly. And I know there's integrations when thinking of, to your point, of other things that it could connect
Mm-hmm.
into. So like with Sleep Number, for example,
Mm-hmm.
can it connect to the smart thermometer in your room so that it adjusts at the right sleep
Mm-hmm.
temperature, or if the bed knows and senses that you're sleeping really hot, like it can adjust, but maybe
Mm-hmm.
the environment around you adjusts, or the lights dim or turn on at a certain time. There's
Mm-hmm.
so many different things we really think about how we can just
Mm.
pamper ourselves and make things even better and
Yeah,
ease of use, to your point.
exactly.
I love that.
Yeah, and it
Okay.
can be fun too, right? Philips came out with some holiday themed lighting.
Uh-huh.
So you have the Hocus Pocus theme and the spooky theme, and
Mm.
you can actually go in the app and control the smart lights to do Halloween themed room settings.
Yes, we have that even in our house exterior. We have a company called Jellyfish Lights, and so they're permanent exterior. Think of like holiday lights if you put up lights or things like that, but they're permanently installed into your house, really slick. You don't see them, but we have like thousands of color combinations we can pick
Oh, whoa.
and features. And so every night with the kids, we're like, what do we want to do? What color should it be tonight? And then we can add like lightning effects and different things. But it's so fun and so
Yeah.
interactive. And if it's their birthday, they get to pick the color of the houses for that day. Just all year round, we can have whatever color we want. So it's you just saying that made me think of that. That's an app experience too. That's
Mhm.
so fun for the family, and it also increases the value of our home. Been
That's a
really
great one. Yeah.
yeah. Thank you for helping us think and focus on mobile. What's a good way to connect with you personally and also with Airship to learn? I think that whole syncing and insights perspective is really valuable to help people understand that customer base better.
So to get connected with me, LinkedIn's the easiest way to find me. You can just give me a follow or shoot me a message if you have questions. As I research stuff, I'm always posting there with the latest insights. To connect with Airship, it's airship.com. There's a ton of information about mobile experiences, everything from web to app, and that orchestration as well. So it would be happy to connect folks if they're interested in learning more about that, because I think as marketers, we've dreamed about that for a long time. And now the technology is making it possible.
Exciting. Okay, thank you so much for joining us. And everyone, hope you got a lot out of that conversation. And until next week, God bless.